Welcome to Wrestler of the Week, Week 22. It pretty much works like this. If you are a professional wrestler and you made the most impact over the past 7 days, you will be named Wrestler of the Week. Every week, points will be tabulated, and at the end of the calendar year, whoever has the most points will be named the male and female Wrestler of the Year. If you want to see what I use as criteria for Wrestler of the Week, be sure to check out my Week 1 episode. The dust has settled on Nxt Heatwave and WWE Money in the Bank. We are now on our way to SummerSlam, Slammiversary, and All In as major shows, and the heat has just been turned up this past week, so let's just get into it. First, the women and some honorable mentions. Dani Luna and Jody Threat of Spitfire would battle to a time limit draw on TNA Impact before being attacked by TNA Knockouts Tag Champs Alicia Edwards and Masha Slamovic. Rio would score a W against Lady Frost at AEW Collision as her rivalry with Serena Deeb continues. TNA Knockouts champ Jordynne Grace is tired of Ash by Elegance and reintroduced her open challenge for next week. Toronto hometown wrestlers Carmen Petrovic and Ariana Grace won a great little tag match against JC Jane and Jasmine Minx during the NXT Heatwave pre-show. And finally, Chelsea Green is just amazing as she put in another outstanding performance in the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And I have to think that this match probably opened a lot of eyes and made people realize that it is possible that Chelsea Green could make a really good women's champion. And now the top 10 wrestlers of the week for the women. Mariah May took out Hikaru Shida to advance to the finals of the Owen Hart Cup, and that has her kicking off the list for the women. This was a match meant to showcase that, hey, that Mariah May lady is actually not too shabby at this wrestling thing. Beating Shida, a former AEW Women's Champ, is a major notch on May's belt. It does sort of seem as if AEW has already shown their hand, telegraphing that May is most likely winning the Owen Hart Cup to set up a showdown with her and her mentor at All In. But sometimes predictable in storytelling works because it is logical and sound, and if those in the story can make it work. The relationship between Timeless Toni Storm and Mariah May has been one of the best things about AEW and has done a very good job of building up May while never losing focus on the champ. I think if, or most likely when, May wins the cup, the match she will have with Storm will slap. But until we get there, we got Mariah May arriving on the list at number 10. Speaking of the Owen Hart, Willow Nightingale defeated arch-rival Chris Statlander to advance to the finals of the Owen Hart Cup herself, and that lands her at number 9. Willow is attempting to become the first two-time winner of the Cup, and she had to brawl her way through Statlander. When Stat brought in a chain and almost hit Stokely Hathaway with it, Willow took advantage of the distraction with a roll-up pin for the 3. I am 100% certain this is not the end of this rivalry, as I wouldn't be surprised to see Statlander interfere in the Owen Hart Cup finals between Willow Nightingale and Mariah May and cost Willow the match. We will see if that is what transpires, but for now, Willow Nightingale is the number 9 female wrestler of the week. Jada Parker from NXT is the number 8 female wrestler of the week, and she won a brutal street fight against Michin that saw weapons of all kinds, crazy brawling, and some pretty neat offense, including Michin getting back body dropped on a bunch of chairs with bolts. Ouch. This is the biggest win of Parker's career, and I feel a bit of a star-making turn, as I think a lot of eyes were opened after this match. I can see Jada being heated up to perhaps be next in line for a shot at the NXT Women's North American title, but we will see. But Parker put in one hell of a performance that needs to be recognized, and that lands her this week at number 8 for the women. AEW Women's Champ Timeless Toni Storm lands on the list for the women at number 7 for winning a good non-title match against Trish Adora to keep her in the spotlight as we move towards All In, probably against Mariah May. Storm continues to dominate and be one of the best overall characters and acts on AEW television, and I don't see her stopping anytime soon. In fact, I don't even see her losing her title at All In. If Storm is dropping the title at all in the future, it most likely is going to be Mercedes Moné or Britt Baker, as they are the bigger names. But for now, Storm doesn't have to worry about them. She just needs to keep giving good face and putting on good matches. AEW Women's Champ Timeless Toni Storm lands on the list for the women at number 7 this week. WWE Women's Champ Bayley lands on the list at number 6, and after being blindsided by Chelsea Green and Piper Niven earlier on SmackDown, Bayley would defeat Niven in a good match that served to help build the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. But it was also a good win to remind everyone exactly who is at the top of the division, and even though I had hoped Bayley's title run would have a little more to it, that's not her fault, and she is still one of the top female grapplers in the world. Let's hope that things start to heat back up now that we are on the road to SummerSlam, and with Tiffy Time lurking in the shadows with the Money in the Bank briefcase. This week, WWE Women's Champ Bayley lands on the list at number 6 for the women. A major face-off happened on AEW Dynamite between AEW TNT and New Japan Strong Women's Champ and CEO Mercedes Moné and the DMD herself, Britt Baker. And that has them landing at number 5 this week for the women. Baker, making her first appearance since September of last year, came out to share a story of her recovery, including the stroke she suffered and how she is back to claim the top of the mountain, with the only letters mattering in AEW being DMD and not CEO. This brought out Moné to confront Baker, which ultimately led to DMD challenging Mercedes Moné at All In, and we got a major marquee matchup with some big name players. I am expecting a good build-up to this, even if I admit I sort of expect Britt to decimate Moné on the microphone. But will promo ability be enough for Baker to unseat Moné? Who knows? But for now, we got a massive match at All In set up between Britt Baker and dual champ Mercedes Moné, the number 5 female wrestlers of the week for week 22. At number 4, we have Kalani Jordan, still your NXT Women's North American champ, for defending her title in a great match against Saruka that saw the two Division I athletes play a game of Can You Top This, with flips, moonsaults, and absolutely ugly poison ranas. It took a split-leg moonsault to secure the victory, and respect was shown at the end of the match. Kalani has her first major title defense in the rearview mirror, and as Booker T rightly pointed out, this helped to establish Jordan and the North American title. Jordan as the scrappy babyface champ works. There are more than enough women in NXT, and TNA if you want to go there, to build a very strong division around. I feel some weren't totally sold on Kalani, but this performance made some believers. I believe in Joe Hendry, but I also believe that Kalani Jordan will continue to make new believers in her work, and I hope for a really healthy run to establish the North American title. I think we are on a good start with Kalani Jordan, the current NXT Women's North American champ, who is at number 4 this week for the women. WWE Women's World Champ Liv Morgan lands on the list at number 3 for defending her title in a very good match against Zelina Vega on Monday Night Raw. Later in the evening, Liv came to assist Dominic in his match against Rey Mysterio, inadvertently causing a distraction as she attempted to fight off a returning Vega, which caused Dom the match. Liv is just chilling out with the Judgment Day like it's nothing, and it's clear she has her hooks in more than just Dom, but the entire faction save for Priest, who does not trust her. Liv is part of what I feel is the second best angle on Monday Night Raw, and it can't be stated enough. When Rhea Ripley returns, it will be off the chain. I made a funny. Bad jokes aside, Liv Morgan remains your WWE World Women's Champion while also participating in one of the best stories in wrestling, and that has her at number 3 on the list. The prodigy Roxanne Perez is the female runner-up for Wrestler of the Week, and she put away a very game Lola Vice at NXT Heatwave. Roxy used a strategy to injure Lola's arm so she couldn't use the back fist, while absolutely spamming a bunch of pop rocks, including one absolutely nasty one on the announce desk that honestly, I thought was the finish. Roxy would hit 3 more pop rocks with some stank on the last one for the victory, and the prodigy clearly stands atop the mountain of the women in NXT and frankly has been one of the best overall wrestlers in 2024. She has an intensity that surpasses her small frame that makes her offense believable, and this heel turn has helped Perez turn the dial up on her character work. Let me also say I enjoy Booker T being a little more biased towards Roxy compared to everyone else in NXT, even as a heel, just because he trained her. Now, who will step up to the plate to take Roxy down? Perhaps a certain former Stardom superstar? Time will tell, but for now, the prodigy Roxanne Perez, still your NXT Women's Champ, lands on the list for the women at number 2. It's Tiffy time, bitches! The female wrestler of the week for week 22 is none other than Tiffany Stratton, who climbed the ladder in a wild match to win the Money in the Bank briefcase, and Stratton has punched her ticket towards a WWE Women's title shot anytime in the next calendar year, and with the female cash-ins all at 100% success rate and Stratton's career trajectory, it only feels like a matter of time before Stratton holds gold in WWE, and she is so talented that no one would bat an eye. I want a pink, fabulous Money in the Bank briefcase and insane mind games while attempting to cash in. Stratton's character strikes me as someone who is a little bit more on the cunning side, and I'm sure her budding alliance with number 1 contender and Queen of the Ring Nia Jax is more than just that. Until we see her full plans unfold, join me in congratulating the 2024 Ms. Money in the Bank Tiffany Stratton, the Week 22 Female Wrestler of the Week. And now to the men and some honorable mentions. Seth Rollins had a good showing in his World Heavyweight Championship match against Damian Priest at Money in the Bank, and after his loss, can no longer challenge for the title as long as Priest is champ. Probably has a bone to pick with a certain Second City Saint as well, who fucked things up for him. Andrade successfully defended his WWE Speed title against Xavier Woods. Tom Latimer would defend his NWA North American title of NWA Power. Dookie would defeat El Desperado to win the IWGP Light Heavyweight title that Desperado just won a couple weeks ago. Dominic Mysterio continues to be one of the best things on Monday Night Raw, as his relationship with Liv Morgan took a turn for the worse, as her distraction cost him a match against his father, Ray. Joe Hendry won a Road to Slammiversary qualifying match against Jake Something, and also was the very last image of NXT Heatwave. I wonder who at NXT said his name. And finally, we got MJF and Daniel Garcia, whose initial friendly interactions turned violent when after his loss to Will Ospreay on Dynamite, Garcia was viciously attacked by MJF, who would explain his actions on Collision. It seems as if we are heading towards an Ospreay-MJF match in All In, and that has the potential to slap. And now the top 10 wrestlers of the week for the men. At NXT Heatwave, Axiom and Nathan Frazier not only overcame Chase U, but their own miscommunications to retain their NXT tag titles, and that has them kicking off the list for the men this week. This was a great little match that got absolutely crazy in the end once Andre Chase hit a leaping Canadian Destroyer to break up a pin attempt, and things got crazy, including Duke Hudson hitting a Stratusfaction. Even though there were some major communication issues, like Frazier super kicking Axiom, they were able to overcome and use their speed and high flying to secure the victory. It does seem like even though the NXT Tag Champs are enjoying a healthy run, they are nearing the end, as it seems like both men want to focus on singles goals. A team is going to eventually take advantage of this and take them down, but until that happens, we have our NXT Tag Champs, Axiom and Nathan Frazier, kicking things off for the men. We have a tie at number 9, and that is for the Scapegoat Jack Perry, AEW TNT Champ, and Will Ospreay, AEW International Champ, for defending their titles on AEW television this week. Perry would defend his title in a short match against Marco Stunt, while Ospreay would defeat Daniel Garcia in a very good match on Dynamite that saw Garcia refuse MJF's help to cheat, which cost him the match. It is clear that the Elite are setting up Perry with simple challenges to hold on to his TNT title. What isn't as clear is the picture between Ospreay and MJF. It looks like they are on a collision course to All In, perhaps. For now, though, congratulations to AEW International Champ Will Ospreay and AEW TNT Champ Jack Perry for defending their titles this week. We have new WWE SmackDown Tag Champs in DIY, and that lands them at number 8 this week for the men. On Friday Night SmackDown, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa scored the win over A-Town Down Under when Theory submitted to the Sicilian Stretch. This is DIY's first run with the SmackDown Tag titles, and personally, I am hoping for a healthy run with the titles, as they are one of the best tag teams in all of wrestling. It will be great for Gargano to enter SummerSlam in his home city of Cleveland as champion. Now, how long will DIY exist as a team before Ciampa remembers that he is the Sicilian psychopath and loses shit to destroy Gargano? It's coming, people. We all know it. Until then, let's celebrate DIY, the new WWE SmackDown Tag Team Champions, who arrive at number 8 this week. At number 7, we have Hangman Adam Page from AEW, who made his return last week on Dynamite as the surprise wildcard opponent for Jeff Jarrett in the Owen Hart Cup semifinals. What is interesting is that it feels like 1, Page was still sort of healing it up despite attempting to distance himself from the Elite. And 2, did the Elite pull rank to get Page in the semifinals? If so, how will they take Page blowing them off? Or is the whole thing just one big major ruse? Page has already mentioned his intentions to face AEW World Champ Swerve Strickland at All In when he wins the Owen Cup. Will he? He still has to go through Bryan Danielson, who defeated Pac in his semifinal match, and that match should be a banger. But for now, the returning Adam Page carves out a spot this week at number 7 for the men. Both Sami Zayn and Njpw remain your WWE Intercontinental and NXT North American champions respectively, and that has them on the list this week at number 6. At WWE Money in the Bank, Zayn pulled off what I believe was a mild upset in taking down the dominant Braun Breaker to successfully defend his title, while Njpw, unsurprisingly, obliterated Wesley at NXT Heatwave, and both secondary champs are enjoying amazing title runs. Ever since defeating Gunther for the IC title at WrestleMania, Zayn has been a literal world beater, defeating all comers despite being the underdog most times. On the other side, it has been a joy to see Njpw's progress, as his aura as this insane monster who can murder death kill you at any time, and he has kept his NXT North American title on sheer will and brute force. Both champs are great, they defend their titles regularly, and have continued to raise the stock and profile of their belts, and that is all you need. This week, WWE Intercontinental Champ Sami Zayn and NXT North American Champ Njpw are at number 6 this week for Wrestler of the Week. The Bloodline walked away with a huge victory at Money in the Bank as they faced WWE Champ Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton in Toronto, and that lands them at number 5 this week. This was a wild brawl that saw the action spill outside the ring, and once more we got to see just how dangerous Jacob Fatu is. In the end, Solo Sikoa got the pin on WWE champ Cody Rhodes to win the match, and one has to think that this puts Solo in a position to name himself as the #1 contender to Rhodes' WWE title for SummerSlam. The Bloodline has been the faction over on SmackDown, and this victory just makes them look even more dangerous and dominant if they can take out the top 3 babyfaces on SmackDown. Of course, this is obviously building to the glorious return of Roman Reigns, super babyface, and the Bloodline Civil War. Will he make the appearance at SummerSlam? Time will tell, but we need to acknowledge the Bloodline 2.0, who walked away with the big main event victory at Money in the Bank, and that lands them at number 5 this week. One of the GOATs, and making his 2024 debut on Wrestler of the Week, is John Cena, who made waves with a major announcement as he will be retiring in 2025. At Money in the Bank, Trish Stratus introduced Cena, who rushed down to the ring wearing a shirt stating "The last time is now." Cena made a very heartfelt and passionate speech, which he excels at, where he detailed some of his career and how fans have been with him through the good and the bad, and that 2025 will be his last active year as a professional wrestler. This was a major announcement, and it will be very interesting to see who he will feud with. Who will have the honor of facing him in his final match? At WrestleMania? At SummerSlam? Does this mean Cena is pretty much a lock for the 2026 Hall of Fame? Will John Cena break the tie between him and Ric Flair and win his 17th world title? So many intriguing questions, but for now, it looks like WWE is gearing up for a significant run for John Cena and his final year with WWE, who comes in at number 4 this week for the belt. Damian Priest, still your WWE World Heavyweight Champion after defeating both Seth freaking Rollins and Drew McIntyre, who cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase he won earlier in the evening, appears at number 3 for the men this week. Priest, who put out a great showing against Rollins, had to quickly adjust his game plan when Drew McIntyre came out to ruin the one-on-one match and change it into a triple threat after cashing in his briefcase. It took a belt shot from CM Punk to take Drew McIntyre out for Priest to pin, and now he looks ahead to Cleveland, SummerSlam, and Gunther, who is the #1 contender for the title. It will be interesting to see how Priest responds to how he kept the title, how he will respond to Drew, who ruined Priest's one-on-one match. And there is so much intrigue surrounding the World Heavyweight Championship and Judgment Day, and I love it. I do believe Priest's time with the Judgment Day is coming to a close, as he is acting more and more like a babyface lately, while his faction has become a little more sinister, especially bolstered by the influence of Liv Morgan. Let's see what the future holds, but this week Damian Priest finds himself in great company, still your World Heavyweight Champion, and that lands him at number 3 as the number 3 male wrestler of the week. We have a new NXT World Champion, and that is All Ego Ethan Page, who at NXT Heatwave bested former champ Trick Williams, Shawn Spears, and Javon Evans in a wild fatal 4-way in the main event, and that brings him to the runner-up spot this week. At Heatwave, we saw Trick and Javon work together, while Spears and Page would form a brief alliance, but those fell apart quickly as it became clear that it is every man for themselves. Eventually, Trick would deliver a trick shot to Evans and another to Ethan Page, who would fall on top of a fallen Evans, with Spears holding Trick back, allowing Page to get the victory. And within 2 months of debuting in NXT, Ethan Page is NXT World Champ. It is absolutely insane to think how his career trajectory has changed in a mere 60 days. I have always believed All Ego had something special, and now he gets his opportunity to prove it in NXT. I think he will make for a great arrogant heel champ with Trick and Javon Jason. Let this man cook, HBK. You know he can deliver. All Ego Ethan Page, the new NXT World Champ, is our runner-up for the men this week. And the male wrestlers of the week are the pair engaged in the hottest angle in wrestling, Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, who had the biggest story coming out of the weekend, with Drew winning the Money in the Bank briefcase at Money in the Bank in Toronto, cashing in during the Damian Priest-Seth Rollins World Heavyweight title match later in the evening to turn it into a triple threat, and then having his opportunity stolen again by CM Punk. And either one of these guys can win the Hater of 2024 award for all I care. Drew came out during the post-show and went ballistic, even hitting Adam Pearce, which triggered a fine and suspension. A tweet from Drew forced Pearce's hand to double his fine. Look, this is for my money the feud of 2024, and when these guys meet, most likely at SummerSlam, bet it will be lit. Also, CM Punk is quickly becoming the most hated man in WWE. He screwed Drew, but he also screwed Rollins, as since because he didn't win the match, he can no longer compete for the World Heavyweight Championship as long as Priest is champ, and Damian Priest has been demanding that he go out there and prove that he doesn't need help to win matches as champ. So Punk undermined that as well. What else is there to say? Drew and Punk are killing it in their roles, and what's even better, there are so many shades of gray, it doesn't matter who is cheered or booed. Each man has a legit claim to why they have been wronged by the other and wishes for revenge. Let's just go. Every time these two are on screen together, magic just happens. But yeah, this was a no-brainer this week for me to name 2024 Money in the Bank winner Drew McIntyre and his arch nemesis, the Second City Saint CM Punk, as the Week 22 male wrestlers of the week. And here are the weekly standings for the men and the women. With so much wrestling going on this summer, it is honestly really challenging to keep up with all of it. But I am a fiend. Rest in power, Bray Wyatt. I just need more wrestling in my veins, and things are about to get crazy. What did you think of my picks for Wrestler of the Week? Do you agree or disagree? Share your thoughts, leave your comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you can get notifications as well. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.